immediate reactions to UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi, Ankalaev versus Guskov. Starting off with the first fight of the night, which was Cody Gibson versus Abdul Hussein. As I predicted, Abdul Hussein won. I believe I said by decision, but he won by third round submission, so almost a decision. But the fight went out round one. It was pretty competitive for round one. With the grappling, Cody Gibson actually got a takedown, as you can see in this round. Both guys attempted subs. Cody Gibson in this fight attempted a lot of front chokes, a lot of the time as defense for the takedowns. And I think that sort of ended up gassing him out because once it hit round two, that's when Hussein really started to take over. As you can see, the strikes just really went in his way. Still sub attempts from Cody Gibson. And significant strikes was all in the way of Hussein. A knockdown on Hussein's part. And then round three, it's actually a little bit closer, even though this is where he ends up getting the finish. But this was a pretty good win for Abdul Hussein. One thing I'd say is just he looked a little bit small out there. Cody Gibson is also a very big bantamweight, so maybe that was it. But Abdul Hussein should maybe consider moving down to flyweight. Down there, his grappling would probably be even more dominant with the size advantage, but I don't know. But I started off the card with a correct prediction. Going on to the next fight of the night, Ankalaev versus Mike Davis. Another one I got right. I called this by decision. I even said 30-27, pretty dominant. And it was 30-27. I don't know if you could really call it dominant, though, because Ankalaev, even though Mike Davis didn't have a whole lot for him, did not do much, man. We'll go to round one. Got 4 takedowns in one round, a sub attempt, a reversal. But not a whole lot with the total strikes. Round two, a lot more. Here, wait, let's look at significant strikes, though. 2 significant strikes in a round where you have 4 takedowns. If you get a takedown, you should be landing a bunch of shots on top position, man. Round 2. 10 significant strikes. Not great. 1 significant strike. I would say landing less than a significant strike a minute is pretty bad if you can't even land 5. Landing 1 every 5 minutes is really bad. So this is just like Ankalaev. If you want to go anywhere in the UFC, you got to do. I'm not saying stop being a wrestler. I'm a grappler. If I start MMA, I would be a grappler shooting for takedowns, trying to get submissions. But if you get a takedown, are you not trying to land ground and pound? It's like these guys, him and guys like Hamza, they start getting takedowns and just hugging people. Like, I just don't get. It's not, Mike Davis is good, but it's not like this is Charles Oliveira's going with, where he's being cautious and trying to win by decision. Maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea, but. And it's not even a guy, like it's a Mateus Gamrot who's going to be scrambling with you where you can't hold him down, so you keep having to shoot over and over again. So this is a really, even while being a dominant performance, also a poor and very boring one. Which the rest of the card was kind of boring too. We'll get on to that. That's why I'm making this so, like, almost 10 hours after the fights ended. This was a rough one to wake up early for in America. But, yeah, this was just. I mean, how many significant strikes did they land over the fight? Round 1, 2-5. So 12-15. 13-22 in favor of Mike Davis. Like, I know he controlled him the whole time, but we are going off damage, and grappling without damage does not do damage. Getting a takedown doesn't do damage. So if we're really want to get technical and nitty and gritty about this, you could say Mike Davis got robbed because he damaged in this fight. And I know I don't agree with that. Nurullo Aliev clearly won, but how are you doing damage just holding on to somebody, landing one strike around? If the other dude is doing 5 times more with you than significance, like these total strikes, we know what they are. They're little taps to the thigh and little slaps on the butt. They might as well be, because that's as gay as the strikes they are, man. They're just little gay taps to the thigh that's not doing anything. And speaking of gay, Mike Davis came out and said he complained a lot. He said I believe he called Nurullo Aliev gay to his face, which is pretty insane after just getting 30-27 to say to your opponent. But he went on complaining, saying that he was sick, but he felt the best of his life, and saying we need to get all these wrestlers out the UFC. But I'm like, yeah, it was a bad performance, but dude, you get underhooks, get up. You're a professional fighter. You had like 8 to 12 weeks to train for this. You knew it was coming, so you can't just blame it on him being a boring fighter. You should be able to defend that, even if it is hard. But I did think it was kind of interesting. Mike Davis mentioned, and it's something in his post about, in his fight with somebody, even though he was trying to progress positions and be entertaining, he said you guys, I'm assuming as in the UFC, were like, hey, do better next time or something like that. So maybe I'll have to look into that. And he mentioned they've been cutting all the wrestlers, which is kind of an interesting thing. Maybe I'll make a video about what he's talking about there. But yeah, this was boring, but another fight I got right. On to the next fight of the night. Magomed Tuchalov versus Brinson Ribeiro. I mean, this guy was just like a deer in the headlights. He won, but he really could have gotten a finish, and he just did not. I mean, also, I don't know if I'm crazy, but this guy looks like Tung Sahor to me. I don't know. He's got a weird... he looks like a deer in the headlights even here. Look at his weird little scared face. He looks kind of sweeter than grandma's cookies, but you can see here after this first round, I was kind of like, dude, is he gonna lose to 17-10 Brinson Ribeiro? It would be kind of funny. I have no problem with seeing a Dagestani guy lose, but he comes back in round 2, shoots some takedowns, actually gets significant strikes, Nurullo Aliev. And then in round number 3, he had the momentum, swung into round number 3, 6 takedowns. Another thing with the guy outlaying you significantly, but this was not as bad, but still kind of a nothing burger of a fight, just remembering this card is making me sleepy again, even after a post-jiu-jitsu nap. But yeah, he could have gone to finish, and he looked like a deer in the headlights in this fight. But he still got done and got 29-28 decision win all across the board. And another fight that I got right. And for the World Cup rematch, this time England won it, bruv. But yeah, this one went just as I predicted. I believe it was even, like I said, a straight right hand that finished the job for Sam Patterson here. And as you can see here, just the total strikes and significant strikes, 2 knockdowns. Patterson was clearly just a better fighter in here, and Ponzinibbio, age has done a number on him. Real ones remember when he was probably one fight away from a title shot. And things have just not gone well for him. He has a win over the middleweight champion, so I believe he was Sean Strickland's first loss in the UFC, but time's the worst opponent for a UFC fighter. So you can see round number 1, total strikes way in Sam Patterson's favor. Ponzinibbio knew what he had to do. He came out and he was just swinging for the fences because Sam Patterson look at him, he's kind of a lanky guy. He sits really tall in his stance, so it's possible you could catch him with something big and looping like Ponzinibbio likes to throw, but Sam Patterson's just good and technical. Stay out of the way, landed his stuff, and eventually in round 2 just finished him off with I believe it was a right hand. It was pretty brutal, and got the KO like I predicted. On to the next fight of the night. Oh, Dustin Jacoby. Come on, man. Dude. I really like Jacoby. Everybody's got their weird, like, unranked to bottom feeder, top 15 fighter that they really love. And for me, for some reason, that's Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby. I always pick him in every fight. I remember when he was, like, shooting takedowns in the last round against, what's his name? The guy that Paulo Costa just beat. I was like, come on, dude. And I should have picked Saidov because I figured he would lose through some dumb way or even robbery decision because this is a similar fight in Abu Dhabi against a Muslim striker. So I probably should have picked against him, but, he's my boy. Look at him. I can't pick against this guy. And he is a very good, very, very good striker. But that just didn't save him in this, this fight. His chin, he can be knocked out even though he is a good striker. So, go to round number 1. Pretty close round. 17-16 on total strikes. No knockdowns yet for Saidov. And I believe Jacoby. Oh, no. I'm misremembering. Saeed won this round. And then on a round number 2, this is where he clearly takes over 44-17. Holy cow. And scores 2 knockdowns. And ends the fight with a lead leg head kick, I believe, which I was actually heard was one of his best weapons leading into this fight. So, figures. But this was a sad one, man. Had to see my boy Jacoby get put out and reach the Brazilian 10. So, not fun to see, not fun stuff. But good win by Saidov. Even if this had went to decision, it wouldn't have been a robbery. So I can't take anything away from him. It just hurts to see Jacoby lose. So this is the first one I got wrong. On to the next fight of the night. Walter Walker, bro. That's my best impression of him. He goes out there and does it again. Not by heel hook this time, but still by a leg entanglement submission. He goes out there and does it by calf slicer this time. Because he went out there. Thomas Pearson gets a takedown. It almost looks like he's going to smudge Walter Walker out for a while. But Walter Walker gets the heel hook. But obviously Thomas Peterson just been eight weeks straight training heel hook defense. So he spins out of it a bunch. And then he gets to where his butt's facing Walter Walker's face, and he starts trying to pull his knee out of position, which is smart. But then Walter Walker, this guy, he likes the feet. He knows what to do with the feet and legs, man. You can't keep your feet around this guy, because he'll snap them and take it with him. But immediately he knows, the butt's facing me. Oh, let's switch to a calf slicer. He does that. He has Peterson's knee on the ground with the calf slicer, so anytime you have a knee on the ground in leg entanglements, not a good thing. You don't want that because all the pressure is just on that knee that's on the ground. So, and then he slowly just hips into it. He's a big guy. There's a lot of force going, even if it doesn't look like he's doing much with that hip in. So much force behind that. And pretty easily gets the tap in the first round. Thomas Peterson tried. He got farther than most people, just escaping the heel hook. And if he escaped the calf slicer, maybe there would have been a knee bar or something else waiting for him. Who knows? But this was a great performance. They need to give Walter Walker a ranked fighter next. This is 5 in a row, all first-round submissions. I think that guy deserves somebody. He's technically, I think he's number 13 in the, I don't know if it's the Meta AI rank. I guess maybe not. But he definitely deserves a ranked opponent next. And, I heard something crazy. I heard people saying Walter Walker by first-round submission was like plus 400 on the odds or something, which is absolutely insane. If I'd known that, dude, I would have bet the house on Walter Walker first-round submission. Like, that's insane odds to be given to a guy, a heavyweight, who's gotten 4 heel hooks all in the first round, which is, like, unheard of. And heavyweights are fat and athletic. They can't get... And this guy wasn't even as fat as the rest. I mean, he's in decent shape. You can kind of see a semblance of a six-pack there. He does in the face, he looks kind of fat. He looks like he's kind of melting, like he's Clayface or something a little bit. But Thomas Peterson is by no means a bad heavyweight. Like, at least Don'Tale Mayes, it's like everybody heel hooks him. Cyril Gahn heel hooked him, I believe. But this is just insane. They need to give Walter Walker a ranked opponent. Let's see how far he can go up the heavyweight rankings with these leg locks. This was another one I got right. So, on to the next fight of the night. On to the main card. Oh, so this did get moved up to the main card. That's cool. Oh, I guess it's because Dulatov pulled out, which that was weird. Ismail Bonfim versus Axel Sola. Axel Sola has a very good performance. I mean, holy, look at the he just beat his ass, man. That's crazy. But he comes out, very explosive fighter. Believe he's a karate guy, Axel Sola. But what was that? But yeah, karate guy, very explosive. He pressured a lot in this fight while it lasted and was just very accurate with his striking. Eventually got the knockdown. And then once Ismail Bonfim was knocked down, that turtle position, I believe it was a Darce he went for, got on the front headlock on the Darce and choked him out. Which this impressed me. I don't know how he didn't get performance of the night for this, but I thought he would kind of just have to outdog Ismail Bonfim. I thought Bonfim would do a lot better than this. This is a couple losses in the UFC now. For Bonfim, it's kind of tough. Now he's the bad Bonfim brother. It used to be he was the good one. But until BSD choked him out, this is all kind of downhill. He's been choked out first round by 2 Frenchmen now. And this one was... BSD was second round maybe? No, it was first round. But this performance was definitely better than BSD's. Because Axel Sola actually has good striking. He doesn't just run at you, but... Yeah, this was a great performance. Should have been a performance of the night, probably. But, UFC is kind of dumb sometimes. So, and another one I got right. So, on to the next fight of the night. Just another snoozer of a fight, man. And there's a couple of them. And you might notice a pattern by the types of names that are fighting in these snoozers. I'm not going to say anything, but you know what I'm saying. So, Abu Bakar Vagaya versus Sagid Isakakmayev. Again, deserve an award just for saying those names. But, so, round number 1. Pretty close round. Vagayev mixed wrestling and striking pretty effectively to kind of edge out the opening round. Even though, again, another one where more significant strikes to the guy who lost, but whatever. Round number 2. Still, this is where I would say Vagayev kind of took over. You know, Ankalaev found some good moments on the feet, but he just, when you're fighting a good grappler and you're a striker, sometimes you can just spend too much time defending takedowns, and that's kind of what happened here. Then round number 3, this was a pretty close one. This one I would definitely say, or not Vagaev, Ankalaev won. But Vagaev stayed pretty disciplined, knowing he had the first 2 rounds in the bag, and just stayed out of danger for the final 5 minutes and won the decision 29-28. Really entertaining fight. This was fight of the night, guys. This might be fight of the year. One of the greatest fights I've ever seen, dude. This is why I actually took a nap and did not. This is why I went and started playing Fortnite instead of making my reaction video, because this fight was just so amazing. I had to calm my mind out after seeing such a great, amazing fight. But yeah, another one I got right at least. So on to the next fight of the night, which is actually a pretty good performance. Somehow the heavyweights are outdoing non-fatties, so you should be ashamed of yourselves, guys. But Rizvan Kuniev wins by TKO in the 3rd round. For some reason, they gave this fight of the night. I don't know why. Tyrell Fortune kind of just got beat up the whole time. And there's some fights where a guy gets beat up and stays in it and makes it sort of competitive where it's a fight of the night, like Peter Yan, Merab 2. But this was not competitive. Tyrell Fortune was just purely surviving for all of round 2 and round 3 until it ended. I mean, Sam Patterson could have gotten a performance of the night. Same with Axel Sola if they hadn't given both these two 100K. But, you know, whatever. Kuniev was expected to win. He was the favorite. So he wouldn't really... Well, I don't want to say he doesn't deserve one, but you know what I mean, man. I don't know why this is fight of the night. But starting off round number 1, decently close. You know, closer than round number 2 and 3. But round number 1, Tyrell Fortune was just trying to kind of get the grappling off on Rizvan Kuniev like we all kind of thought he would. But he couldn't get any of the wrestling off. He started the fight very aggressively, trying to pressure and wrestle, but he couldn't have defended all of that and just landed the better strikes. So round number 1 to him, but it wasn't. I mean, he was up by quite a bit strike-wise, significant strike-wise, but it got bad, Makuniev, and round number 2 is when it got pretty bad for Fortune. Round number 2 is when he just started landing those vicious knees to the body, dude. Those were nasty. Every time Kuniev or Fortune would come in, he'd land a vicious knee to the body. It was pretty nasty. So round number 2, Kuniev hurts him to the body as Fortune comes in, hurts him with a knee. And then as Fortune comes in again, Kuniev throws another knee, hurts him really bad. And then this is where Fortune just started staying up against the fence. Protecting his face, just both arms kind of like on his face, trying not to take shots to the face. I don't know why Kuniev didn't just unload with like big meaty hooks to the midsection, and then Fortune and Kuniev kind of clinches up with him. I don't know why. He should just unload to the body, let out a big kick or something. But eventually Fortune recovers in round 2, and then they aren't clinched anymore, but then Kuniev jumps into him with a knee to the body and hurts him again. And then for like the last minute or so, towards the end of the round, Kuniev just does all of his work against the fence. So this was pretty dominant round. I don't know if it was a 10-8, probably not, but pretty good round. And then round 3, Fortune actually in his corner, he was telling his cornerman or his coach he couldn't execute the game plan because he can't breathe because of his broken rib. So obviously those knees to the body were not only nasty but very effective if they broke his rib. But round number 3 starts out after that. You know, Kuniev gets a Fortune to cover up, then hits him with a high kick. Then he finishes him off as he covers up with a high kick, he jumps, flying knees him. And then, as you can see in the thumbnail, Fortune just drops to the ground like a sack of potatoes, and the ref's like, okay, this is done. He's already taken enough damage. So that was that fight. Pretty good performance by Kuniev. Don't know why I was fighting tonight, but another fight I got right. So on to the next fight of the night, which is John Pork's masterclass over Damian Respecki. Starting off with round number 1. They both start out opposite stances, kind of feeling each other out in the striking. Eventually, Chonko initiates the clinch, almost does like a weird spinny clinch thing, and he throws a nasty elbow. Respecki then uses this clinch to keep him up against the fence. Chonko, even with his back up against the fence, lands the bigger shots in the clinch. He'll push out, elbow him, push out, and knee him, which I don't know how he's doing right up against the fence. Pretty impressive. Then they get out of the clinch. Chonko immediately hits him with a crafty eye poke. They stop for a while. I was worried they were going to call no contest, and we didn't get to see the John Pork masterclass, but they continued. Chonko starts fast after the break. Respecki actually gets a good takedown right after that, but Chonko turtles up, and then Respecki has a seatbelt. Chonko pulls it up to the overside, and Respecki falls over himself. And as he gets back up from falling over, Chonko throws a flying knee. And that was round number 1. So Chonko up a lot in total in significant strikes. Round number 2, Respecki shoots a takedown. Chonko defends, gets on top for a little bit, and controls him for a little bit. Respecki eventually gets up after a while, like a minute or so. Respecki goes right back to pushing Chonko up against the cage. But this is where we saw probably the best part of this fight. Chonko's elbows, even with his back to the fence, which is kind of crazy. He would keep pushing off the face of Respecki, and then right off that, just landing nasty elbows even while he's pushed up against the cage, which they sliced up Respecki bad. You know, DC said he looked like Darren Elkins because of all the damage and the crazy eyebrow at the end. And eventually with one of these elbows in round 2, he rocks Respecki, and Respecki leaves the clinches all wobbly. And then he tries to push him up against the cage again, but he lets go eventually because, you know, the clinch is usually where you're safe and you can throw a little knees to the thigh or whatever and try to tire a guy out. But Respecki, every time he had Chonko up against the fence, Chonko was still just hitting him with nasty, nasty elbows. So he couldn't really rest anywhere in this fight because then out at range, Chonko's doing his work with his kicks to the knee he was landing throughout the fight, body kicks, stuff like that, leg kicks, normal calf kicks, which he wasn't landing as much of due to the southpaw orthodox battle. But, you know, on to round number 3. I would say this round is where Chonko does his best work on the feet because there's not as much clinching because I think Respecki kind of gave up on that because of the elbows. So this round is pretty much purely contested on the feet. Respecki holds him up against the cage for a little, but kind of just gives up on it. This is where I'd say Chonko just really starts piecing up Respecki with his punches and kicks. In this round, he kept landing a front kick right through the guard of Respecki, hitting him right in the face. It was really nasty. It would cut right through Respecki's guard and hit him like very clean. So this was a great round. This is where Chonko really got to show his striking, not just up against the cage and stuff. And this was a great performance for Chonko, John Pork himself. So he proved himself to be the only fun Dagestani to watch, because Islam used to be the one, but after the JDM fight, you can't call him that anymore. So yeah, hopefully we see John Pork versus some more interesting strikers, maybe Sadikov or something like that would be fun. Somebody who's going to Muay Thai it up with him. I've seen people say Fiziev, but Fiziev's looking up in the rankings. Maybe one day if Chonko gets a big win, that would be cool. But this was an awesome fight. I'm officially a John Pork fan now, so On to the co-main event. This was another fight I got right, by the way. But on to the co-main event. Oh, this one was a tough one to watch. Steve Erceg, Ramazan Temirov. Temirov won by round 1 KO. And it makes me a little mad because I'd said in my predictions that I thought Erceg would win, but it'd be a tough first round. And there's a good chance he could just get chinned. And I should have just said that. Or because this was in Abu Dhabi. If this made it to decision, I think Temirov would have won the first round. And then in Abu Dhabi, there's a chance they would have just robbed him, Erceg, of the second round. So I should have just picked him. But I still did pretty good on picks anyways. But I'll analyze the first round. The 4 minutes and 21 seconds that happened of it. Temirov started out really fast. He threw a spinning back kick to the body that knocked over Erceg. And the quick start of Temirov was giving Erceg some problems at first, but eventually it seemed like Erceg was taking over the round. Erceg was keeping the center of the cage and actually pressuring Temirov back, throwing a lot of jabs and front kicks, and he would quickly dart out of range of Timirov's strikes. But eventually in the round, Temirov lands an overhand that drops Erceg really bad. Erceg immediately shoots in, and Temirov continues landing ground and pound on him there. Then Erceg gets back up, gives up on that takedown, backs up to the cage as Temirov keeps landing shots. But for some reason that really confused me and that I really didn't get is Erceg, instead for like the last 40 seconds, shooting another takedown or just clinching up with Temirov and holding on for dear life. He's rocked very badly, and he continues trading shots with the more powerful guy, and you're already wobbled. I thought Erceg was like a smart fighter. I don't know why he'd do that. Maybe if he would have survived to round 2, Temirov would have gassed down. He could have won the last two, similar to like how he won the O'Day Osborne fight, but he did not do that. He chose to trade with him and get brutally KO'd like he did. So this was a good win by Temirov, but he's a little midget roid cheat, so I'm not really excited for him. He's literally 5'4", which is insane, dude. I was watching this fight live and I was like, how does this dude get women? And then I was like, oh, he lives in one of the stands, so I don't think the ladies really have much of a choice about marrying the little 5'4", little beardy guy. So, but the PED cheat got a win by vicious KO. It was a good performance. So, but Steve Erceg, I don't know what you do with him now. I think he's so chinny, man. He's just so chinny. And he's already kind of towards the bottom of the rankings. I don't know where he goes from here now. It sucks for Erceg, but this was the second one I got wrong. But on to the main event. Magomed Ankalaev versus Big Ank versus Bogdan Agent 47 Guskov. Oh my god. This was a snoozer. I literally almost fell back asleep at 2 p.m. because this fight was so boring. It was really bad. But I guess I'll analyze it if I have to. So before the fight, they actually showed Carlos Olberg before the main event. Like anyone cares. I think he got about like 3 cheers from the crowd, but just want to mention that. But round 1, very slow start to the round. Either guy could have won it, to be honest, but I'd probably give it to Ank. Because, Ank switched stances a lot in round 1. And actually stayed orthodox for most of the round. Both guys were just landing like tappy little leg kicks and jabs. Guskov at the end of the round throws a spinning kick in the final seconds. And Ankling lands a pretty good combo, so that probably gives him the round. Round 2, another very boring round. Ank moved forward a lot more this round and stayed southpaw more, landing some jabs, some leg kicks, some body kicks. Then shot a takedown and just held Guskov against the cage. Another round of the same. Round 3, Ank moving forward. Guskov is on his bike the whole round. Ank moves forward with him, throwing kicks to catch up with him, but just more of a boring fight. Round 4, a little bit of a switch up in the game plan. Ank shoots a takedown, gets it, ends up in half guard right against the cage. He's hitting Guskov with a bunch of little shots to the body and head. Eventually, Guskov turtles to try and get up, and Ank takes the back of Guskov. He's kind of too off to the side of Guskov and keeps trying for the choke, but eventually he squares up with him and gets a good choke, but it almost seems like he'd put the arm in and then just take it out, even though Guskov hadn't defended it yet. I don't know why he was doing that. He probably couldn't have gotten the choke in the 4th round had he tried for it, but, whatever. 5th round, Big Ank immediately gets the takedown. Guskov tries for, I don't know if it was a Darce or Anaconda, and if he had an arm in, or if it was just a ninja choke. I think it was a ninja choke. Ank escapes immediately, and almost immediately goes to mount. Guskov tries to get half guard, but gets more like a 3/4 mount. Guskov eventually turtles up, takes a bunch of shots. Mark Goddard warns him, Guskov, but then he stops the fight, and it was a really weird stoppage. Ankalaev was still on top of him for 5 seconds. I was like, what, is the fight even done? What's going on? But Ankalaev wins by 5th round TKO. I said 2nd round TKO, but a dominant, I don't even know if you can call it dominant, because he barely did anything to the last 2, but I guess a good win. Not a good win for the fans, because it's put us all to sleep. Dude, it's bad when it's a Muslim Russian guy in Abu Dhabi, and they're booing him. I think it was either the 3rd or 4th, or it must have been the 3rd, because they were on the feet still. And they were on the feet at range, just, throwing feints at range like they did for, the whole freaking fight. And the crowd starts booing him. That's bad, dude. This is, Ank was saying he wants a title shot. This is definitely not how you get it, man. He might... knowing how the UFC did him before, where he had to win 5 number 1 contender matchups before he got the Pereira fight. Dude, he might be fighting Dustin Jacoby after this one, man. I don't know. They might be giving him some BS, which I would not complain about. But to be fair, Guskov is also at fault for this fight. Guskov, he gets an opportunity on a week or two's notice. Number 1 contender. If he loses, it doesn't really drop his stock because it's short notice against the number 1 former champion. I thought he would at least try, dude. He just moved backwards the whole fight, didn't do anything. It's what are you doing, man? I thought he'd at least go out there like a tard and just try to knock out Ankalaev and maybe get knocked down in the process. That would have been way better. It would have been a better performance because at least he would have done something. He would have gone out on a shield. You think after seeing the last Pereira fight, you would go out, kick his legs out from under him as much as you can, and then walk him down and just try to land the big shot. That's kind of the game plan that I would think you'd have, but no, let's walk backwards and do absolutely nothing. Great game plan. And then he's hugging him before the 5th round, and then after he gets TKO'd, he's getting up and hugging him. It's dude, you should be embarrassed. If I was your coach, I'd be the coach was in the corner. It seemed like this was their game plan, but yeah, this was a tough card to get through other than some, the John Pork Masterclass and a couple good finishes, but I did pretty well on this card. I believe I went 10-2, got this one right, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 6-2, 7-2, 8-2, 9-2, 10-2, so I had pretty excellent predictions on this fight card, but still a tough one to get through. But if you guys like the video, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.